Thank you very much. We are back with the Mayor's Budget Improvement discussions for the state trial courts. Appreciate you all being here. We've got Judge Phil Smith, we've got Judge Binkley, Tim Townsend, Ricky Rooker here with us today. I know that you guys are going to talk about different components of this budget. You may have brought some folks with you, so I'm going to let you give a shout out to anybody that might be behind you here in a second. We'll also have Councilmember John Cooper is with us, and we'll start with your current budget and then move into whatever operating requests that you have for that. And if you have any capital budget requests, which I see you do not, so great. And then anything else you all want to talk about. So am I turning this to you first? Judge Binkley.
Yes. Good to see you this morning.
Good to see you this morning.
Mr. Rich Riebling and Talia Lomax O'Neill. Great to see you all. We also have with us today Diane Lance from the Office of Family Safety, sitting right behind us.
She's good to see you. I'm sorry, I didn't see you back there, Diane. I thought you were. I didn't know you were still back there.
She may have some things to add. I think what we'll just get right into is we're contemplating moving all of the orders of protection from the General Sessions Court to the Circuit Court. And in order to do that, we'll have to have additional funding, and we're asking for 5 additional employees to help handle an additional $5,000 to $6,000, $5,000 to $6,000 caseload that we'll get in the circuit courts if we do that. And we want to do it. We think it's the right thing to do. There's several people here that will speak to that and why we think it's the right thing to do, but we'll need some additional funding in order to do that. So, Phil Smith, 4th Circuit Court Judge, I'd like for you to speak on that if you would.
Sure. Well, can I ask you guys to just start? So tell us how it works now and tell us what this change would do. I think that's the
Right now, orders of protection are spread across Circuit Court, with the vast majority being in General Sessions. We have a special master right now hearing the Circuit Court special masters, and those involve children born out of cases with parents that have children born out of wedlock or that are married or have been married. The vast majority of the cases are in General Sessions right now. And Judge Robinson, Judge Walker, and Judge Dalton hear all 3 of those, and they've done a really good job. I've got to say, they've done a good job. But what we're asking for is to bring the orders of protection over here with this funding.
And so when you say over here, you mean physically relocate them from one building? From
the Birch building to this courthouse. And it would add about another, I believe, 4,600 cases in this building.
Okay.
So you multiply that times at least 2, you're talking around 9,000 to 10,000 additional people a year in the building. This is a courthouse. That's what it was designed for. I don't really see a big issue with that, other than from a security standpoint. 2 of the people that we would be requesting are court officers. Now, these aren't your traditional court officers that stand around in the courtroom and provide security. They will be doing that, but they will have administrative responsibilities also. The special masters will be hearing the case at the first instance. And this, I view this as really an opportunity for us, because orders of protection have never been under one roof. Now they will be under one roof. And what I envision, and I was the first DA assigned to do orders of protection violations back in 1988. So I've watched it grow from 5 or 6 cases a week to well over 5,000 now. But what I envision is, with the additional support, not just addressing the orders of protection and sending them on their way. Obviously, our first priority will be and will always be protection of the victim and protection of the children. But with this, having it under one roof and this additional staff, what I am hoping and I am envisioning is we start to look at the problem. The statute allows us to direct perpetrators to counseling, and it can be either domestic violence counseling or drug and alcohol counseling. As you know, a lot of OP cases don't need anything. They're kind of an isolated incident, and people move on with a divorce, and there's never a problem. But a lot of these involve anger management issues that, kind of a lower tier anger management course may take care of problems for the future, or it may be a more aggressive, batter's intervention program that we need to have the defendant attend. Also, a lot of pill addiction, opioid problems here in Nashville. We see it in divorces every day. We want to start addressing drug and alcohol issues. And we don't want to just order them to go. We want to follow up. We want on a motion docket to follow up periodically and see if they're complying with the orders. And, make sure they are complying with the orders. Let's look at treating the problem rather than just entering the order of protection and sending them on their way. Additionally, I would be taking the firearms dispossession docket. There is an affidavit that is filed that is required to be filed by statute. I know of no other jurisdiction in the state that follows up with a court follow-up to ensure that those firearms have been disposed of. But this would give us the opportunity to do that. And we can use our powers of incarceration if someone refuses to dispossess themselves of a firearm. Of course, they're probably guilty of other criminal offenses anyway, but it's a really an opportunity, and I envision this being the model for the state. Mayor, I don't have to tell you, some rankings show us third in domestic violence incidents, some show us fifth. Yeah. But we're in the top 10, and we've got a problem. That's right. We've got to start addressing it.
So Judge, let me understand, because I making sure we're already seeing these 5,000 orders of protection anyway, just at a different place.
Yes.
So why the addition of 5 new FTEs if we're already serving those folks? Tell me how come we're not seeing a reduction over here so that we see when we balance it out?
Well, I will defer that to Tim Townsend, but my understanding is the orders of protection were heard in association with the regular criminal domestic violence docket. So they're having to hear that docket anyway. There's really no relief from a personnel standpoint that they would be receiving. A little more docket time to deal with those cases gives them, like I say, more court time to give a little more focus to those cases. But it doesn't really free up any resources.
Okay, so it doesn't free up resources. Does it protect in a meaningful way the folks coming through? Like, are you separating people who are violent versus the people who are seeking the order of protection? Are we helping that at all?
Are you talking about in the courtroom or in the courthouse?
Or is there a reason to do this because there's somehow a benefit to the folks who are coming through the doors? Do they wait less? I mean, I'm trying to get an understanding of what's the benefit.
I think they would. One, I think, and the General Sessions judges have done a great job, but they have a lot to do. I think they're going to get a more meaningful hearing.
Okay.
By coming over here.
Are they still going to be heard by a judge, or is this going to be a new?
It's going to be a master.
Okay,
I will be handling all of the rehearings, and they will have an automatic right to a rehearing by filing an appeal, I believe, within 5 or 10 days. But it's not going to necessarily speed up the process by us getting more cases through on a single day. What it will do is there will be less continuances. In fact, one thing I'm going to stress to the masters is very short continuances, 2 to 3 weeks, rather than letting the order of protection track the criminal warrant.
And then that's what happens now.
That's what happened. That's what's happening now.
Okay.
So, I mean, you're going to have more time for a hearing here. It's not going to shorten the time for a hearing, but I think that's a good thing, to have more time to allocate to these type of cases. And again, we're going to be looking at the underlying problem that may be causing the domestic violence. So we want to devote time to that and address that issue. And again, I think Judge Walker, Judge Robinson, and Judge Dalton have done a great job. This area is a very, very high burnout area. And it's, when you're hearing them every day, it can be very depressing. But I think all in all, it is a very good opportunity for us to start seriously addressing the underlying problems of domestic violence.
So let me get to the actual, how this impacts this building here in a second, and what I think staffing from your perspective, Ricky. But Diane, since you're sitting at the table, how does this interact with what you're doing with the Family Justice Center that we just heard about, the Gene Crow Advocacy Center? Clearly that's over there at the moment. How does this all these moving pieces, how does that help best serve the folks that you're serving?
It's a great question, and everything that we're doing in the area of the building of the Family Justice Center, the Gene Crow Center, has been to improve victim safety and improve offender accountability, and this is absolutely consistent with those goals. As Judge Smith remarked, currently the order protection docket in General Sessions Court is a bit of a squeeze-in docket, so they're not getting the time that those cases may necessarily need. When Judge Smith mentioned a firearm dispossession docket, I think it's really important to know that that doesn't exist right now.
Okay, so that would be a new component.
Yes.
Is there some state legislation right now winding its way through, though, that would make this at all different?
Well, there are firearm dispossession laws in place.
Right.
The following of those laws and the follow-up that the law has been followed.
Got it, okay.
So not only making sure that the firearm dispossession paperwork has been completed and filed, but ensuring that the firearms have actually been dispossessed.
Right.
And that they've been dispossessed to someone who's allowed to carry a firearm are some really missing pieces. And there's statewide concerns that this isn't happening, and I think Nashville can certainly be a leader in that area. It's a benefit to petitioners that their cases their order protections, which should not be delayed, will not be delayed as they bump along with the criminal case. We have a volunteer attorney program that we have a grant subcontract to Legal Aid, and to provide volunteer attorneys to petitioners, the victims, on the orders of protection. And that program is struggling somewhat right now because those attorneys whose time is very valuable, since they're getting paid for their other work that's not volunteer, cannot really endure all those continuances and delays that happen in the court. So we have attorneys that are needing to pull back because of that, which certainly does not help the petitioners. And we do hope that by removing this from the General Sessions courts, it might help reduce that delay between arrest and disposition of the case, which has now creeped back up to over 80 days.
That's what I want to know more about. So how much time is this going to save from the arrest to the disposition? Do we have any idea what that might do to?
Well, my thought is, we're going to have an order of protection in place within 3 weeks.
Okay.
That's my goal in every case. Now, there are times you have to continue. You have to grant a short continuance. Maybe the defendant hasn't had the 5 days under the statute. We have to bump it. But I'm talking short term. Okay. And we have that in place. And we've got the protections there for the victims at that point. And hopefully we'll have, if the services are needed as far as counseling, we've got that in place also at the end of that 3 weeks.
Once service is obtained, Mayor, there will be a hearing within 15 days. Whether that hearing is the order of protection is granted, denied, or continued at that hearing, once service is obtained on the defendant, then they will have a hearing within 15 days by statute.
But as for the criminal case, which I believe you're asking about, which is now over 80 days until disposition of the case from arrest.
So usually that's tracking with that, so this will expedite that component of the case.
To secure
it.
And we do hope that it will also free up some time and allow the criminal cases to be disposed of more quickly, but we can't estimate. All it takes is one thing to change in the court system, and you may not get the results can change, but everyone is working towards that, and I believe this will help in the goal of reducing that delay.
So then you want 5 FTEs that would deal with this. I don't think that includes any of the additional potential components, security or anything else that might be impacted with this building.
Only courtroom security.
This is only courtroom security, okay. Any questions from you, Talia?
I think you guys did talk about including Judge Callaway in juvenile court with this, or have you talked to
I have talked to
orders
Judge
of protection
Callaway
going through the juvenile court? I want to make sure we talk.
Actually, with this, I've talked to Judge Callaway, the only orders of protection that would remain in juvenile court, and there's very few going to juvenile court right now, but the only ones that would remain in juvenile court at this point would be a child-on-child order protection, minors,
Okay.
minor on minor.
Minor to minor?
Yeah.
Okay.
And let me tell you, Judge Callaway, she's offered some great suggestions to me about the program. She and I've talked, we're going to get together and discuss some, particularly in the area of services, further. She's got a good finger on the pulse of the community on where we can get that. See, a lot of the services we'll be able to charge back to the defendant, but some are going to be indigent. We've got to work on that, and there are services we can obtain.
So the request is to actually start this on July 1st with 5 new FTEs. Is there a realistic expectation that you could transfer this and get this actually going in that short of a time frame?
Sure.
Has this been agreed upon by general sessions?
General
Yes, sir.
Sessions judges are in agreement.
Everyone is signed off.
So we ask you, we talked about 5 people, but we only said 2 court officers. What are the others?
The other 3 would be special masters.
Special
To actually
masters?
do the,
And I'm going to differ from my colleagues here and go out on a limb, but we only need 2. I only need 2, okay? I'm sorry if I've crossed up my colleagues here, but
4 FTEs are
4
required.
FTEs.
Do I hear 3 after that?
You could do it with 4 new FTEs,
Yes.
is what you're telling me.
2
And then
masters and 2 court
based on
officers.
how this goes, if there's an additional need, you could always come
I
back.
do think you all need to follow up, though, with the sheriff's office to see what might be needed in terms of,
Well, that was going to be my question.
Security,
Have you all talked to the sheriff's department
because
about the
that's not in
security
here
component?
anywhere.
We have. We've had discussions with them, and they are planning to put more G4S security in this building as of July 1 if this goes through.
Diane Lance, do you have anything else you want to
I
add?
don't.
what that means.
No, you speak.
Well, I guess we need to ask, when
Yeah.
the sheriff comes through, we'll ask him about the allocation of dollars required for that.
Just one more thing. We do have a courtroom we're going to dedicate to this. We've had a spare courtroom up on 5, I can't remember, 510,
510.
and this will be a dedicated order protection courtroom.
Is it already set up?
Add a couple tables, but
No,
that's,
no capital request?
yeah, no capital
No capital.
request.
And Mayor, Judge Smith's going to start doing the rehearings, but we have no idea how many we'll have. They're appeals from the magistrate
From the master, right.
and from the special master. And so if he becomes overwhelmed, we're all going to help.
Got it.
All the circuit court
Everybody's in
judges
agreement?
and the chancellors. We're all going to
Okay.
help.
Now, I'm going to be keeping my regular caseload. So
Got it. So
this is on
this will
top.
be in addition to that, depending on then how much that requires of your time, there's some opportunity
The
then for
trial
you all
judges
to
have agreed to help me
to
out.
help.
We're all
Well, it
gonna
sounds
help.
like the fact that you all have come together and are supportive from all of the different courts is good. Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
You have one more thing here, which is an upgrade, replacement of the juror system, but that's not for FY19 until FY19, so do we need to, it's just a flag for us to be
Right.
thinking about?
Next year.
Okay.
So Tim, you'll do a revised budget to tell you that shows the 4 FTEs instead of 5?
He absolutely will.
From the clerk's
I was gonna say,
perspective,
how does this impact you, Ricky?
Yes.
all we will do is transfer the personnel that we now have in the general sessions area handling order protections to the circuit court area, so it will
So
not.
it doesn't impact you
It does not
guys?
impact
I
the
mean,
clerk's
you're gonna have
office.
to do a lot, well, it'll be just here.
It'll just be in a different location.
Just the same? yeah.
Same volume.
Same volume,
just
different location.
different location.
We're handling it now.
He'll use the same people that he's got in general sessions now over
You
here.
just bring them back over
Just
here.
bring
And
them
do you
over
have
here.
adequate space in your facility, and where you are to make that happen?
Yes, ma'am.
Without any kind of a,
We're in good shape.
And because, they'll be more centralized, you need fewer people?
No, sir. We won't need fewer people, but
but you'll still be more efficient.
we'll be more efficient.
Just want to
with
make sure
these.
I asked the question.
It will be more efficient for the judicial commissioners. They will not have to be, deciding where the order of protection needs to go. And also, too, at the general sessions level now, they can't just set child support, visitation, any of those things. All of that can be done at one place, one time. And then if the juvenile case happens to be coming up, then the juvenile case can take over once that case is heard across the street. But all those things that cannot be done at the general sessions level will be done here within 15 days.
Well, I mean, the focus, again, going back to this idea that you're more efficient, you're helping the people who are coming through the doors get what they need quicker is a good thing. So we appreciate you thinking about this. Anything else that you all want to add on this request or anything else that's going on that we need to know about?
Maybe if y'all could maybe raise bail money from, my presiding judge probably going to throw me in jail for throwing my colleagues out.
Anything else?
Well, I was going to say, the order of protection issues, that's the fastest rising filings in the state, and we are leading.
Well, I appreciate then the commitment to the underlying aspect so that as we look at what is actually driving this, it's not just about issuing those orders of protection, but actually trying to get our arms around the other pieces that lead to the order of protection. So appreciate that too. All right, y'all.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you,
Have a
Mayor.
great rest of
Thanks
your
so
day.
much.
Appreciate it.